Okay, here we go. This is the first instruction video of how to Photoshop a stand for stand photography. I'll be making more videos and you'll get the hang of it while watching them. First of all, I'm not a trained Photoshopper, although I do the most of the Photoshopping. If you see, if you think while watching these videos, I know a better way, a faster way to do this, what he's doing right now, you can use it. I can only use my own method and it works for me, but I can imagine there are far better ways to do things, so please keep an eye on the overall effect and goal and not on the used techniques. But at the same time, these techniques seem to work quite well, so that's a bit up to you. Well, that said, let me first give you, let me tell you how we work. We shoot several shots from of each picture. We use a camera that's on tripod and shoot different exposure times, usually ranging from very light to rather dark, as you can see here. It starts off with this picture. There's also this, but never mind that right now. This is a new shot. It starts off very bright. As you can see, it's got 4 seconds exposure time. A bit shorter, 2 seconds. Darker, 1 second, etc. To much darker and to very dark. 5 pictures in total, that's quite normal. Why do we do this? We want to have an average picture in the end, of course, an even picture which is well lit in each aspect of the stand. This is the middle one. You can see it looks rather okay, although it's too bright over here, too bright over here, too bright over here, and a bit too dark over here and over here. So what we're gonna do is combine the different pictures. We combine the dark with the bright pictures. For this part, you could say, well, you can select it and make it darker, but then you would alter the picture. The software would make the darkness up instead of you using the real thing. And this dark picture, this is a real photographic registration of the truth. So there's no altering or alteration in this picture. So we use the dark part, we use the bright parts, the well lit, detailed parts from this dark picture in the final picture. And for the darker parts we use a well lit aspect of a shorter lit picture, or a bit brighter actually, 4 seconds. So that's what we'll do. So it's using the real exposures instead of using one picture and trying to push up the curves or the levels, and that because that usually isn't as beautiful as using the real thing. So that's what you need to do. We'll almost immediately notice if you've only used one picture, and that's just not gonna work. And if you can, well, show us. So here we go. This is this one picture. This is this picture. It's the one in the middle over there. First thing to do usually is make a selection of the whole stand in order to separate it from the background. This enables us to make the background darker. There's not much to see around here, but very often there are other stands that are very bright with big logos, big lights, and perhaps red, the color red in them, that draws attention, and we want the attention on the stand we photographed because it's for the client and they want their stand to really stick out. So we make a selection of the stand and make a layer out of that. The selection is usually made with the pen tool. I've got one here already because it would take a long time to do that. So that's the part we'll skip in this video, making the selection. You select the path. You can see the layers over here. You make a layer of just the stand, as you can see right here. Yeah, we'll leave it like this. So we got this part, and now we're gonna use a darker version to start off. Later on, a brighter version, but as you can see, as I said before, some parts are too bright, like this and this and this. There's too much brightness. So we're going to use a dark version for that. And I think this one will do. We might not even use this very dark one or this very bright one, but we usually shoot them anyway, just to be safe. What we usually do is take out a bit of the highlights to get as much detail as possible. That looks good. Could have a bit more here. We up the shadow a bit to get a bit more detail in the darker parts, and just for fun, usually a bit of extra vibrance. As you can see, this looks rather beautiful. So we got this, and I'm only looking at the bright parts in this dark picture. That's what it's all about. The rest we're not going to use. We open a picture in Photoshop. And we'll copy paste the whole picture into this picture as an extra layer. Shooting the video slows down the computer a bit, but be patient. Right, so here's the dark picture. Select the whole photo. Copy. Paste into the main photo. It's going to be on top of it, but that's okay. What we usually do is use the selection of just the stand, and take away the rest by selecting reverse and getting rid of this background. You can have your own method with this, but we like to work this way. So we got the dark picture on top of it right now. I'm going to change that, but just to show you. And the background consists only of the original. So I'm going to switch these two around. Have the bright or the medium, the main picture on top, and as you can see, the darker part is underneath. So we'll make a mask over here, and here is we're about to enter the biggest trick, which is not much of a trick at all. Go to brushes, the eraser tool, E on a Mac, put it on very soft, like 5% or so, and opacity around the half, 50% or even less in the beginning. So, and then you can make a rather big brush. I'll zoom in a bit. And what we're gonna do right now is rather easy. We're just gonna brush away the parts that are too bright. So as you can see, It's on a mask here, so we can always reverse it, and we'll make some. It's even a bit too much, 22% in the beginning. You can perhaps even go as low as 10, 11, or even lower percentages. I'm just gonna brush in. Or brush away, better said, all the parts that are too bright. And if you zoom out, you can easily see the picture becoming more even, more balanced. No, it's too bright over here. I'm gonna put it even a bit further down. As you can see, this chair, it's overlit. There's no detail in it, and everything needs to have detail. If only you can feel it. Also this part, this might look tricky because I'm going to erase something that's lit quite well, but if you put it low enough you won't see it. And we can make this bright part of the wall behind it a bit more dark. Here as well. And you can see the colors coming to life. Here, there's a light shining on it. Here you have to be very careful because this one's okay. So you need a smaller brush to avoid this becoming too dark. If it does happen, on a Mac you put it on B, the brush. Also put it the hardness very low, opacity not too high. And you can brush in the original color back again, sorry. Right, well, onto this part, back to eraser, as you can see, 4%, hardness very low, a bit higher, brush in, brush away the too bright parts. This might take a while, you have to look carefully. You can always check what will happen or what's beneath if you switch off the top layer. It's still a bit too bright over here, so I'm gonna put it down. Oh, too much. You probably can see something is happening here. The logo as well, a little bit brushing away here. That's the thing with stands, there's a lot of lights on them. They're usually there's lots of lights in them usually, but not too many on them. And I think the light on this wall is mainly from the stand that's standing here. It's a neighbor, but very often it's dark and there's very little light on the outside walls and lots of lights coming from within the stand. So it needs a lot of alteration usually to get an evenly balanced, beautiful looking stand. It doesn't look like it's been left alone by each and every one, you know. This part is a bit too dark, I think. But for now, as you can see, this is the dark version. This is the original, with all the very bright parts, and I'll switch those two back on. It's more balanced. I hope you can see it. So, this is a bit too bright, but not too much. Almost done. Voila. I'm happy with it. I'm gonna combine these two. Just merge them to keep a very simple workflow going on here. Voila. So we got original, adjusted. You can see here, it's been adjusted. So there are no longer two bright parts. Yes, outside of the stand, but we'll work on that later. Right now there are two dark parts, so we need a brighter version. We'll make some small adjustment to it. Back to Lightroom. This is one of the brighter parts, way overlit over here, but for the darker parts we need right now, this is beautiful. First thing we'll do is get a bit of the highlights out of it to get more detail. And again, vibrance a bit up. And if it's looking almost too bright, that's no problem, because we're gonna brush it in and we can stop brushing. So, open Photoshop. It's taking a while again. Voila. Copy the whole picture, or drag it in, as you please, into the main picture. Paste. Alright. Use the selection from the original. Select this one. Select inverse and get rid of the background on the new picture. So here's the too bright. I'm gonna put it below the original, so to speak, or the semi-final. So the bright version, the semi-final with two dark parts. Make a mask. Work in that part. And now focus on the two dark parts. I think this part is a bit too dark. As you can see, the lights on the plants, which are supposed to be green, this wall, makes it a bit dull. If you look at the picture right now, all the attention goes to this part, and that's what the human eye does. It focuses on the bright parts and on the most colorful parts, and in this case the most bright parts. If this had been red, it would have been more balanced, but it's just too gloomy. So we need to blow some life into this part. So I'm gonna focus on that part in the mask, and again put it on eraser, 8%. It's still good as it is here. Don't worry too much about the background, because we're gonna get rid of that later, and just start brushing away again until it comes to life and looks more vibrant. When you get to the edges, you can use a bit of a tiny smaller brush, but in the big parts you can use a bigger brush. And my computer's a bit slow right now because of the video that's being recorded. Usually you can easier and faster see what the changes are. Zoom out a bit. We go to history. I think we can see, as you can see, there's more life in it right now. A bit more into the plants. You don't always have to be this careful. You can try a bit, put it up so it goes a bit faster. You can always go back. So, right, maybe too much, but it's still quite okay. You can see this wall on which there was a little light. You can make it look as if there was a light on it. Same thing here, I'd be a bit more careful around here. And then this big thing on the right here, which is completely in the shadow. Just brush over it and make sure, or try to gain some attention as well. I could also say this part is a bit dark. Voila. I'm doing it rather slow right now, but once you get the hang of it, it goes faster. Voila. Well, I think it's pretty good. Now, what you see right here is this is the layer in which we have been brushing. So what you see is this part underneath. If you think, well, it could use a bit more color, you can, in this layer that's underneath, you can put up the saturation a bit for the parts that shine through, in order, things that are in the shadow have less color, so if you put up the saturation it becomes more alive, which is a nice trick very often. Well, I think this is almost nice as it is. I'm gonna merge the two top layers again. Voila. And before focusing on the background, I'd like to show you a little trick that's often works very well. As you can see, this pedestal, so to speak, this podium, this outside line, if you select it, make a layer of it, and put up the brightness of this thing, the whole feel of the photo of the stand changes. So I'll show you right now in a rather quick way. With the pen tool, I'll quickly select it, just the dark part, not the whole thing. Voila. To here, and one stop in the middle right here. Voila. Make a layer of it. Okay, so now we got this, just this thing, okay? And it's very dark. And now we're gonna simply make that thing a bit brighter and watch the photo and see what happens. the whole thing becomes a bit more clean looking. I'll switch it off. Dark, light. And you could talk about having this part to do this part as well, but for now I'll leave it to it. I'll merge the two again. So that's the shopping of the stand itself. Now we're going to focus on the background, which often is very ugly and distracting. Lots of lights. It's not too bad over here, but there's even some crap over here which should be photoshopped away. But I'll leave that for now. I'll do that in another video. Normally we would ask you if you Photoshop for us to Photoshop this kind of cleaning equipment away, and if there would be paper on the floor, shop it away. This thing needs to go. I can do it quickly. It's not gonna look that beautiful, but we need a clean looking picture. There's often very big stripes and ugly stuff on the floor in these industrial halls. Everything that's too distracting, get rid of it. We want to focus on the whole stand and not on anything else. Let's see if I can get rid of this thing quickly or make it less visible. All shapes that are too strong, just get rid of them. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because no one's gonna notice them, because all the focus will be on the stand itself. You see it's completely crooked around here, but that's okay. Here, rid of it. Voila. And this white thingy. Already gone. This thing. Voila, good enough. Merge again. Now select the whole stand. Oops, that's not too smart. Okay, select the stand. Select inverse the background and make a layer of the background. So now you can carefully merge the Photoshop stuff. So now we've got, if I switch up the background, a layer of the stand and a layer of this stuff. Yeah. Well, it wasn't too smart what I did with the okay, I'll skip the clone stuff for now. Right, make a layer of the background. So here we go. Stand and background. Please forget about the stuff I just cloned. I said I'm not the best Photoshopper. What we're gonna do right now is take some saturation, first of all, out of the background. Don't be scared. Go towards black and white. You see I'm already at -32 around here. Voila. And then get rid of the highlights by curves. Usually take it down until the stand itself sticks out really well. And we're going to make it a bit more saturated so it will stick out even better. But as you can see, highlights like here and here and here, and on these truss things, they need to go. they need to go in order to get the focus on the stand itself. And voila, okay. Make a mask. And now what we're gonna do is brush in the lights that are in the hall. Eraser, very low hardness. This one on about 34, 50, whatever. Small brush and brush over these things. So then we end up in the original background layer again. And this, by doing this, getting these highlights back in instead of the truss and blah blah blah, just the lights add some depth to the picture. And we found that this gives a really nice effect. And you no longer see that the background has been the highlights have been gotten rid of, because there's this extra layer of bright lights, and that's very nice. Not these are too distracting, but things that are on the wall, you can play around a bit. Right, like this, perhaps these also, this one a bit. But as you can see, this is what it was. Here's what it is. And here exactly you see the other stand through these panels. Our own stand has become more visible. So you can merge those, that one. Now make an extra layer of the stand itself and put in some saturation. 5 to 10 usually. And you can see, hopefully it's not too much. Voila. Well, then we're almost at the end. You know, forget about the stripy things. Merge everything. I'll get rid of them right now, okay. Whoop. Like I said, it's not the best technique, but screw it. It's just for the sake of telling you. Of course, we don't want these brownie thingies. Voila. Well, small mistake, but you get the point. Merge everything. Make a layer of the whole stand. Now, skip right here. We'll do. I was planning to tell you about how to adjust the stand to make it stand straight up. I'll show you, but it's better if you send us the untweaked, undistorted photos, because then we can still add or change something ourselves. So unless you've got the get-go from us to tweak and change, put things straight up, vertical when necessary, and it's almost always necessary. But if you haven't gotten the permission from us, don't do it. But you can have a look here. These walls need to be straight up. Voila. Well, normally I'd say good enough. Give it the OK. Merge it again, save it, and you've got save it as a PSD, and you got a good picture. So merge, save, finished. You see? So I'll show you the original. This is what we started out with. Many bright parts, a bit dark part, more balanced picture. I did it quickly, but it looks, especially in these places, it looks so much better than it did before. Dark and dull,